Okay. So we're gonna VOD review the Rogue vs Devil.One game. I'm Samuel, Mr. Baneblade Harkins. I'm joined by a very special guest, someone I wish that I'd actually cast with before, but my British lover, Ibriz.
It definitely doesn't help that we're both color as well, by the way. So, yeah, probably some good reasoning behind us not casting together.
Hey, I,
Uh,
I can I can definitely yell at people. I'm
Dabble in the
very
play-by-play.
I could definitely do that. That's
Yeah.
but no, I think this will be fun. This will be interesting. Uh Ultraliga is a league that I watched a lot of last year.
Yeah,
Um
looking at that last year, just it seemed like a 2-3 horse race with one clear contender above the rest, of course. But actually, these two teams were, the top dogs back then, and well, probably makes sense as to why it's one of, if not the opening games. So, yeah,
yeah.
Rogue's rebuilt roster and Devils.One.
Yeah, Devils.One with their rebuild. Some familiar faces. Obviously they had their 10-man roster last year. Um some familiar faces on Rogue.
I I cast Devils.One at Euro Cup over in November in Italy, and they won that event. But all five of those players have now dispersed to other regional leagues. That was the lineup with Agresivo, Syncroft, Matislav, and then the bot lane of Laka and Erdut. So yeah, bit of a different face here, but they did manage to keep Zetrol in the coaching role, and he did seem a step above the other coaches at the Euro Cup at least. But that wasn't super competitive, if I'm honest with you. So yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting league. I didn't mind it. I think ESL doing some fun cups like that was really cool.
I think that was their farewell to League of Legends, actually. Now they're just doing NA Collegiate.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much they can do with all the ERLs being taken over by Riot, but yeah, I've also had lucky enough to coach Color a couple of times. He subbed in for us in Gamer Legion.
He's actually subbing here because Sagenda
Yep,
is banned.
banned for
Yeah.
2 games.
Sagenda and Zanzara being the top side of the Origen Academy roster last year in the Spanish League. And with Origin just moving over to the Nordic League, they're going through a complete rebuild as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The Origin Barcelona team, we scrimmed a lot last year with Gamer Legion. Um, so I'm gonna be really interested to see Zanzara. I'm interested. I haven't seen the pixel bans for this yet, so I'm interested if Devils.One ban Ornn because it's a flex pick for them. With that
Orn
Ornn
Jungle.
jungle. Yep,
Let's
exactly.
go.
Every
I'm
scrim, it was just like we'd get into picks and bans, and then like third pick they'd pick Ornn, and Agarin would be like, "God, I don't want to play against Ornn jungle. Why?"
Looking at this team though, I'm just having a couple of question marks as to why we've left Rumble open. If Rogue take it themselves here, sure they have a comp that may not benefit from it too much. Okay,
I'll jump into the
Rumble
draft because I
Lucian.
didn't start yet. Whoopsies.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm
I'm at like I'm like 20 seconds into the third pick for Devils.One.
whoopsies.
All right, let
I
me
was just
rewind.
talking. Yeah, I'll pause it after Devil.One ban, and we can catch up.
All right,
I got too busy talking.
where did
There we
Devils.One
go.
like ban? Okay, their
Yep.
Aphelios ban has just come through. Go.
Okay. Let me catch it. You stay paused. I'll tell you when Aphelios gets banned.
The hell? It's their last ban.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it gets banned. I'm still going through the ban. I'll skip forward. Come on, Devils.One, ban Aphelios, and it's banned.
Go.
So colors picking. We should be
Hmm.
right now. Uh, I mean, Akali being left open. I guess we should talk about that because I haven't seen too much Akali recently because
Yeah, it's just been banned alongside like Lucian and well, Aphelios was there as a red side ban pretty much all the time until teams figured out they could play against him.
yeah,
This time around, taken out. Akali is okay. I think she's very strong in either solo lane, but with the current state of top lane, she actually does struggle into a couple of these matchups. I think definitely going to be a mid lane Akali, with a slight chance of it going top.
yeah, color definitely can play it, but I would prefer to see this mid. Obviously the response with Kiana as well, pretty
I
typical.
I don't see why you'd take Kiana here, but not Rumble. I watched like the first 3 picks from each team here, and they do take the Nautilus. I think Kiana Rumble as a duo, like as individuals, are super strong, and as a duo, like game winning.
Mm.
And I think that you should, if you secure one, you may as well secure the other straight up, unless Pirka is like a completely different beast on Nautilus. That being said, Mystique's pretty solid on the Nautilus throughout his LEC career on XL.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's also interesting that support counterpick is like one of those things that if you ask any support player, they're going to tell you this is the way to go. Counterpicking support is like the way to win a game. And I agree. I don't really like the fact that you take the Nautilus here. I think it's a bit of a mistake. Kiana Rumble is up. Kiana Varus, Rumble Varus. Um, they're
Okay.
all they're all available.
Yeah, and taking the Varus Tam Kench, they kind of slot into any composition.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that does neutralize a lot of the pick potential that the Nautilus presents. That being said, I am still looking forward to a Rumble pickup here from Devils.One because, hey, it's got a good matchup into Akali to boot as well. Um, Literally no reason to not take the Rumble here unless you don't play it at all. Okay, there it is. Finally makes its way here. And yeah, of course, Kiana Rumble, devastating duo. Rumble really good out skirmish, out duel anyone, reinforces jungler whenever he needs to, and of course gank bot lane from 2 screens away.
Yeah, I mean, right now Devils.One have this composition that's just really focused on brawls. If they catch you where Kiana can get that juicy old Rumble gets the equalizer, they have a lot of power, but they're gonna cop ADC bans here. So we see the Zaya come out.
I
Uh,
think they ban Elise themselves if they want to target out these early game jungler pools a little bit more. We have Lee Sin, Jarvan, Gragas, Olaf all on the bench right now. I think taking away Elise is the smart move, and then you really are forced onto this next tier of big jungles. I think Zanzara's pocket pick is the Zac though, so there's always a little bit of a wild card
yeah, Zac
coming out here.
Ornn, but even Rek'Sai's up. Yeah, it gets banned here. So the Elise is the
Yeah.
one they leave up. But uh, banning junglers here for me, if you're going to ban junglers, you might as well ban the Ornn because you know Zanzara plays it. Color is a stock standard top laner. He's going to be able to play it. Um, and
Hmm.
it just gives an immense amount of engage pressure. I don't know how it
Yeah,
fares into Rumble if the Rumble goes top. I
is
imagine
that
it's a
bot
free
lane
lane.
Cassiopeia ban, I wonder? So maybe the Caitlyn comes through from Bullet just because that's something that can actually hold its own against the Varus. Sivir would be fine, and it does let you run the enemy face a little bit more reliably on that Kiana Rumble duo. But thinking about, I would like the Jhin actually. Jhin is nice here, a lot of pick potential and a good early game to really hammer things home. Uh, okay, it's Sivir. But
We're
anyway,
just getting baited there. He was going
yeah,
around the clock.
we
We
are.
were getting baited.
I want to touch on that Jarvan ban because it does, look a little bit more legitimate when you consider that these teams are fairly new to the stage, new to the patch, new in terms of synergy as well, and that does mean that a lot of these really simple to execute teamfight compositions, especially considering the games do go to like the 30-40 minute mark more often than not in this meta. And I think that Jarvan actually has shot up in priority alongside the Gragas that we see with it, just because these champions are really easy to turn the tide of a mid to late game teamfight with.
Yeah. You're the Rumble expert here. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I haven't played too much of it. Um, but given,
Good into Akali, bad into Mod.
yeah, I imagine it is not great into the Maud. What about Ornn though? I assume it's a pretty free lane for the Rumble, but
It's free early, but then you can start to get just out sustained. The issue with Rumble is that versus most of these Akalis, the Aatrox, even the Mordekaiser, and especially Leon, a lot of these champions out sustain your damage because you're not a burst champ, you're not
ooh.
like you're very cooldown reliant, and you get out sustained at the end of the day, so it puts you in a really weird position. This could be okay. It is the Nautilus mid.
I like this.
Do you?
Yes, I actually don't hate this. So, not mid into like assassins like the Akali, uh, you actually get this really fun dynamic where if you get the winning 2v2 mid jungle, then you can roam bot side a lot. And with the push power of Sivir and Braum, you can dive that tower really easy. It doesn't matter that you've got the Tahm Kench there. I think you're gonna get a double kill, and the Woolite and Mystiques are going to have to play around the fact that they're going to be the ones taking the pressure in this game.
Yeah, the issue I have with the comp though from Devils.One is that both of their solo laners get outscaled in the 1v1. You have nice wave clear early, you have the good setup and the good early skirmishes, but if you don't take full advantage of that, you're just going to get slowly choked out by Maud and Akali, who start to really, just trash rumble Nautilus past the 2 item mark.
Yeah, I mean, they also this composition kind of like reminds me of old Fnatic, where their early game is all about choking bot side and bot river, and then at 400 CS, Sivir just can't die because Braum Nautilus is standing in front of her, and she just hits the person in front of her, which is probably the Sejuani or the Mordekaiser, and tries to carry the team fight 1v5, basically.
Yeah, I think that buying space for the Sivir is something that the rest of this comp really does excel at. The Nautilus mid, of course, the Braum support, very, very binary in that regard, but also just thinking about the zone control that Qiyana Rumble, that comp does present. Sivir really going to be the shining star of this composition, but if you take a look over back to Rogue's comp, I'd say that they definitely, if they can weather the first 15 minutes of the storm, or even if it does go to late game, as long as they blow up the Sivir, which they can with the huge amounts of tools available to them, they can really, do a number on this Devils.One comp straight from the get go.
Yeah, it's I actually like the Sejuani. It's something we haven't seen.
It's Zanzara's pick from last year. The only thing they let him play when he came into sub for Trashy, Cold, sorry. And yeah, just not bad. Again, ease of teamfight execution for a lot of these teams that haven't had too much time practicing together, especially when you consider top lane is a sub.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually what I like about this composition from Rogue. It's really straightforward. It's not trying to be clever. It's not trying to be tricky. It's just looking to win by being the better team, basically. And I think,
or by getting to the 20-minute mark.
well, yeah, that will help. I mean, they scale really nicely. Obviously, Civ is always scary, but Varus is
That's
scary in
about
his
it.
own right. Yeah, I mean, I like Qiyana jungle, but
yeah, I think she's really, really fantastic and does scale phenomenally compared to, some of the other junglers in the pool, especially if she can stay relevant on XP and farm, but
yeah,
things rarely go so smoothly in the jungle.
yeah,
But the issue with Qiyana for me is that she has a fantastic gank, terrible early clear, but she still needs to get on the board around that 5 to 8 minute mark if I am willing to consider her to be a successful pick here. You need early success to transition yourself to being that mid to late game threat.
yeah, definitely. I think Kiana's like this weird jungle pick for me because, like you said, your first clear is terrible. It's possibly like one of the worst clears you can have, and you don't have natural sustain, so the damage you take it sticks, and you also don't naturally scale amazingly. You really need to start accelerating, especially when you pick something like the Nautilus and the Rumble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's very much like a carry version of Jarvan in that
Yep.
she has a strong gank and then she just scales into a team fight defining player with a little bit more utility and damage compared to the Jarvan. But that was such a forced metaphor, I'm sorry. But hey, it's how I approached her when she first became like an in vogue jungler.
Mm.
And then, yeah, the Jarvan is a default pick for junglers that don't have the mechanics necessary to execute on Qiyana. Oof, big trades.
It's I guess we see now why Sivir hasn't been picked in bot lane for like 6 months. But
I really like the Tahm Kench Brawl matchup. They're both super heavy on the disengage, but they're also both really renowned for bullying out other melee supports.
yeah,
So when the two of them meet, it like really can go either way.
it shows you the class of Woolite and Mystiques as well. Like, I know, like a lot of people point to Rogue last year and say that Woolite was the weak link. Zenthra looking. This burns a flash, I guess. I don't think it does anything else.
Bruness is here. This
is
should be
here.
a turnaround, actually.
Yeah,
Not bad.
they get the flash out from Zenthra, and that's going to stop a lot of the early pressure, but still at level 6, the Sejuani gets to go into bot lane and make a play and try to get Drake.
Yeah,
I think
something
that
I
was
do want
really
to.
greedy, actually, by Sejuani.
Yeah, I think she just decided to force, and Nort was fairly pushed up, I'd say, but I think on the next wave he would have been a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah,
Uh, and I think they just really didn't respect the fact that the Kiana was,
could be there.
yeah. But then again, she's shit clear, so why would you think that she could be there at the same time as you?
Yeah, exactly. And in return, Zenthra gets one camp up on Kiana. Kiana hasn't reset yet, so is a little bit behind in tempo. It's an interesting clear, actually. I didn't watch Brunus 100% here, but
No, I think we're looking at the bot lane.
yeah, I got too distracted with Woolite and Mystiques.
Yeah, you were praising Woolite, by the way, but do keep in
Yes.
mind that they banned every other early game AD character except Varus. Literally, it was Senna, Aphelios, plus MF, plus Zaya,
And Cassio.
and Cassio. Yeah, all hitting the hay there. So yeah, I think the Cassio ban was just because it makes Akali's life a nightmare as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Cassio is one of those champions that if you can flex it around, uh, picking it up early is quite nice. But if they had taken Kiana Rumble and then Cassio, you're kind of guaranteeing that Kiana goes jungle, and I'm not a massive fan of that. Because I think if you know Kiana's going jungle, there are abusive matchups for it.
Like
Kindred, for
Elise.
example. Elise as well.
Yeah.
Kindred comes to mind as one of those matchups where Kindred is also on the cusp of coming back to the meta. I just looked and saw this is 10.1 actually. So never mind. Ignore everything I just said. I didn't realize.
Ooh,
Wow, okay.
the,
Sorry, I
the
didn't
dank
realize.
Diana jungle gonna come out of the woodwork here as well.
Oh, we didn't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Maybe not quite. Ocean Drake first one up, so I don't expect too much priority around it. Simivac actually winning out against the Maud early, as we'd like to see. Really fairly binary matchup for the Rumble, actually. It's literally just try to sidestep the Maud hook with your shield and then just all in him from 50% heat up, and then disengage before he can trade back with his shield. The Akali Rumble matchup is really easy for Rumble, by the way, because if Akali ever procs her passive, you know for a fact she's coming in to, get that secondary damage.
Yep.
So that's when you pop your W and your Q, and then you just walk at her while she tries to proc her thing on you, and it works like 9 times out of 10, even in professional play. It's really dumb how many players just see, oh, Akali mark, better proc it, and then get traded back heavily by the Rumble.
I love that, with players. I love the biases and the traps that they fall into as players, where they see something. It's like the Lee Sin Q in solo queue, where you're so used to doing something that you just do it automatically. I think it's really funny to watch players do that, and then even more to see teams exploit that. When teams exploit players standing in the same position, this could be dangerous. Woolite, yeah, Woolite is very not dead.
He's fine. Zanzara's here now. Ooh.
I hate Tahm Kench. I hate Tahm
Something,
Kench so
yeah,
much.
Tahm Kench is irritating. Something I do want to touch on is the fact that Shashak has no TP up on the Northless. Sorry, his mana's looking a little suspect as well. So I think the Rogue have the onus to make some moves towards this Ocean Drake if they wanted to, and I think Devils.One need to go for the reset now. And this bot lane recall timing is actually not bad, considering that we could see a few of them, if not all of them, flex up for the 8-minute Rift Herald.
How do you feel about Rift Herald versus Drakes, by the way? Because something
Um,
that's
Depends really. I know you got pissed off against BIG and Game at Legion because of the shift in priority there. I think it really does, depend, and I think that you're okay to see the first Ocean because that means that it's not going to be Ocean and Soul, and the other souls are kind of underwhelming besides Mountain.
really you don't like Infernal Soul.
I think Infernal is fine, but if you're in a position to get Infernal, you're already winning in terms of comp damage anyway.
I mean, Varus with Infernal Soul
It just
is
makes you
just
win more.
yeah, it is. It's true.
Yeah.
But it's also like a timer, right? This is why it's really interesting in the modern
Death Realm.
game. Yeah, Death Realm. This
Not a
should be
bad setup.
this should be a free kill. I don't think
Yeah,
Rumble can survive.
typically in the 1v1 with the that's a waste equalizer,
Yeah.
but I guess he wanted Brunas to come in. Yeah, so typically with the Rumble Maud matchup after level 6, as Rumble, you either have to ult at the start of a team fight so you get the ult down before you get Death Realmed, or you have to save your ult when you're in the Death Realm so you can actually fight the Mordekaiser back a little bit.
Should he have altered the wave there to
I
stop
think
Mord from
that if
pushing?
he was gonna ult, he should have ulted the wave. I think he'd rather just hold it and then make a play with this TP that he still has,
Yeah.
rather than TP to this top tier turret.
Yeah.
Odd. Like, there's a deep pink ward in their jungle next to the red. I think that was a sick bot side play they could have made, but you would seed like a wave extra on the Rumble.
But you could
But
possibly translate that into Drake as well. I guess we're going to see a replay.
yeah,
I still
definitely.
think ulting the wave here is fine. Then walking
Ulting
back.
the wave or not ulting at all?
Yeah.
Ulting the wave or not at all? I think he was a little bit caught off guard by the Mordekaiser,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because it just like he didn't respond to the audio cue or the animation.
Yep.
That looked like a smart casted Rumble ult to me, which
Yeah.
is dumb as hell. But
They still pick up the Rift Herald though.
that's solid. Yeah, that's not bad. That's because Kala got caught on the way back, and I think they identified that Zanzara was bot side because he wanted to clear some stuff out. No prio on the Drake still. It's been live for 4.5 minutes. Could see Sejuani solo now that she's got her Cinder Hulk. So
Yeah,
I
it
guess it
should be
does make
fairly
sense
easy.
they wanted to chill for a bit. Good
Yeah.
prio on the bot side from the Rogue bot lane.
I mean, it's almost impossible for Devils One to contest this Drake, but
I like when you play through bot with a Tahm Kench bot lane. I hate the champion, but when you get him ahead, he can
Yeah.
just rotate that anywhere he wants. You unlock that, you basically unlock the entire bot side river and a good portion of the enemy jungle.
yeah, definitely. It's one of those champions that the laning isn't superb. It's really safe, but in a matchup where you have Varus against Sivir, I don't think it matters. The Varus is just so much more useful early, and then Mystique's winning the early level, like the level 1, level 2 aggressive trade. I think that just doomed the lane for Devils.One. Oh,
Hook connecting not the end of the world. Sin Mivak needs to be quite careful because he is susceptible to getting 1v1 at any point now. Yeah, basically a race towards Leandries for both top laners. I'd say Color probably better off going for the Rylai just for the 1v1 now, rather than looking for the Morello for any team fighting, because hey, there's not that much healing on the side of DV1 till the Sivir racks up in the lifesteal department. Yeah, so Leandri Rylai going to be the Mordekaiser spike, and when that comes through, no way that anyone from Devils.One can contest him in the 1v1.
yeah, they're both gonna have similar builds this game, I guess. Like Rumble.
It really upsets me when people build Riley on Rumble still, though. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
wasted item slot.
the ult already slows, right? So it applies to
Yeah,
the ult.
and the E. So yeah, he has a few. Here's a
It's
bug at the moment, by the way, where if you press 2 spells at once when you're at 90 heat, as long as one of those spells is the E, you can use both spells.
like it. I like it.
That's nice.
The most popular champion picked, and it has a.
I'm so sad about that because I was like, oh, I'm going back to main season. He's been my boy since season 2. Let's go. He's a relic of times past where he's unchanged. Maokai who? Aurelia who? Rumble still there for me since day 1. I pick him up. I do somewhat well on him, and suddenly he's in vogue as a mid lane champion, not a top lane one. Still not great top lane, by the way. Not oppressive, just there. And yet he's going to get nerfed because of mid lane Rumble, which is really frustrating to me.
Mid lane Predator Rumble. How does that make you feel?
Not even Predator all the time, man. Just Comet for the matchup, or like Grasp on occasion. Like last season when Huni was the only one picking it and it still looked strong, and I was like, hell yeah. And now it's like, ugh, what can we do? Good rotation from Sinmivak. This is a shit time to fight for the Rumble, by the way. Rank 1 ult still, and no Leandri.
This tilts me into oblivion. I hate this so much when teams use their Rift Heralds like this. If you're going
240 plate goal on the Naught, yes.
Yeah.
God bless.
If you're going to use Herald, right? You should
bring the rest of your resources there to back it up, or
that too. But you should always pop the Rift Herald after you've taken 2 plates, because the plates obviously make the tower get stronger. But the Rift Herald does true damage. If you take 2 plates, the Rift Herald will kill that tower. So there's no, like, you get the easiest 2 plates first, and then you just pop the Rift Herald. And with something like Rumble and Kiana, where you can threaten that, press R from really long range and then see what happens, I think they could have just ulted there and seen what happens. You know, if they get the extra plate, then they summon Rift Herald on the next wave and force Rogue to react to them. But instead, they waste Rift Herald. Well, they don't waste it, I guess. They got 250 gold on Nautilus, which I guess that's technically not wasting, but it's inefficient.
Yeah, somewhat. I also dislike the fact that Devils.One are drafting for pretty much a hard engage, running your face with Severe, Nautilus, that kind of thing. Kiana, Rumble, Miracle. When not the Akali, but with Tam Kench on the team. All these champions from Rogue are like super, super slippery, as well as the fact they have it really Devils.One in an incredibly difficult position when it comes to actually, executing on these like win conditions.
Yeah, definitely. It's
not Draft Kingdom.
Yeah, it is definitely not Draft Kingdom. I'm gonna yeah, goodbye. Red buff, red buff, red buff. No, not enough. Gets the flash out of the Akali though, which for just
top side.
Yeah, just for the Kiana ult, I think that's not a bad trade. Because now Akali has 3 minutes of. Is Rumble dead there? I guess not.
Is Nautilus dead there?
Yeah, Nautilus. There's just constant fighting here. Double TP.
Rogue One. These equalizers are not great. Gotta be said, I'm not huge on these equalizers. This Shekelad just goes crazy because.
Wait, no, okay.
Like Devils.One was just like, all right, yeah, Bruness, you're on your own here, friend.
This was
interesting.
Yeah, this was a bit of an in play, and Rogue get the second Drake. So this is what I was actually talking about. Like you mentioned that I was talking about Big versus Gamer Legion, where Gamer Legion preemptively swapped out of bot lane to take first Rift Herald, at the cost of potentially getting Drake stacked against you. Now, in that game, they continued to snowball, and then Big never got the Infernal, like the soul. But in a composition where your mid game is going to lull, and the Rumble and the Nautilus, their mid game is going to lull. They're no longer going to be able to command team fights. They will get outscaled in the mid game. I think if you allow Rogue to stack dragons here, you're just asking to be punished.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely, not only have you put a timer on yourself in champion select, but now you've put another timer on yourself throughout early objectives.
Whilst if you do it the other way around, where you start taking...
Just start forcing fights around these objectives if you're Devils.One, I think, while you're stronger. That being said, Sinmivak only just ticked over to 11 for the rank 2 equalizer. Brunus now got his ult back. Redeeming thing is that they managed to get the TP out of Shekelad before so I think that it's not a terrible place for Devils.One to be in, and I think that they definitely have some fight in them for at least the next 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, abusing the TP cooldowns is going to be really important here. Devils.One also have 3 to the 2 of to Rogue.
Abyssal Voyage is like a third of a TP as well.
Yeah, Abyssal Voyage does cover as that third. But I don't think Devils.One are out of it at the moment here. Obviously, we both know the results of this game, but it's I just don't think Devils.One have been proactive enough with their draft that they justify the picks they have.
I also dislike the fact that well, actually, it's not too hard punished by the Rogue draft. But you consider that Devils.One have drafted 4 melee plus Sivir. The range constraints on these teams pretty gross. You have to get in the face of a Sejuani, of a Maud, and even the Kali is looking pretty damn scary to the Kiana and the Sivir, especially come the late game.
Yeah, and like this could have been avoided because they could have taken Nautilus Kai'Sa, for example. Like Kai'Sa was still available, and I think Kai'Sa Nord is still a completely fine bot lane.
I think it's very matchup dependent, but that being said, you shouldn't really be giving too much leeway towards Varus Tahm Kench at the end of the day. So it's not like it's MF Leona or Aphelios plus anyone.
Aphelios Braum especially. But yeah, I just find it an interesting choice to take.
I think Lucian went unpicked or banned in this game. Why we know for a fact. So
yeah, I mean Lucian Braum.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And the 3v3 as well would have been an easy win for the Lucian Braum.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lucian Braum would force Cleanse out of the Tahm Kench as well. Because
that being said, if Devils.One can buy the Storm and knock down Woolite, I think there's a Rogue, especially if we transition to a point where you're actually ramping up a couple of the Mountain Drakes on Devils.One. So
yeah, actually, so it's going to be Mountain Soul, which we didn't talk about yet. And we were talking before, and you mentioned that you don't mind Mountain Soul. Given the fact that we have Tahm Kench, Mordekaiser, and Sejuani, how do
I mean, the bonus stats are nice, but also if you consider the fact that Rumble and Kiana's wombo combo is all about dealing a shit ton of damage at the get-go of a fight.
Yep.
As long as you can weather through that burst, it really does put a massive stay of execution above Bullet on the Sivir to really say, hey, you need to actually deal more damage than you would have before. And that's already a tall order with the massive Rogue comp facing him down, and a Rift Herald too to boot, apparently, as it's actually Rogue that are making. Considering said, there's no way in hell Devils.One have it if it goes to late game, so they need to start taking minutes.
Yeah.
That was a monologue. I'm sorry.
No, I Rogue kind of just used Rift Herald to hit tower and act as a distraction to get Mountain, but there was no threat on Mountain by Devils.One, and the tower is on like 150 HP. I feel like they should have just walked up and they have Varusar, they have Tahm Kench, Devour, and Flash. They have Sejuani ult. They had Death Realm. They had everything to take this tower 30 seconds before, and they kind of didn't. And I don't know if I like that.
It's like playing it safe, staggering your victory. So it's not the end of the world here. I'd like to see Devils.One just go for the Hail Mary here, because right now they're just banking on the Sivir late game scaling. And I think that does... Well, it would be good if they had a composition that could actually, allow the Sivir to play, but they're playing against a Rogue team that is not only, threatening in terms of damage, but also if the Sivir moves in range to auto attack, she's going to get CC'd, she's going to get locked down, and she does not have a Tahm Kench to bail her out.
No, Braum is good, but it's not a Tahm Kench. Yeah, I feel like Devils.One just bled out this game. But I'd also like to point out that Rogue are playing this very methodically. They're not overforcing. They're not playing. They're actually kind of playing like their LEC team. They're very methodical. They're very calm. They're not thinking to. They're not playing like G2 where they're relying on mechanics to just win team fights. They're kind of playing a game where they're content to take it to late game because they feel like they have the superior position. Um, I like that. This team fight's not going to result in anything. This is just a pretty. This was a terrible team fight for Devils.One.
Chocolat on the back.
Yeah, this was terrible team fight for Devils.One.
Ambitious.
How would you rank that equalizer? Was it the best one of the game yet?
I think it was, but there wasn't much competition.
uh,
I hate the I get so upset when I see these Rumble players just like smart cast equalizer, and it's easy to see when they're smart casting it as well.
Yeah, that's I know the pain. I have to watch Ezreal sometimes,
And
and
someone was like, I smart cast equalizer all the time. You just need to practice it and get good. And I'm like, it's
no.
like a micro gamble that you're taking every time you throw it out. Why not just add that little bit more reliability to it, considering you need it in such a good position? Because Rumble later on, that is his team fight tool.
Yeah,
That is it. All right. So Flash Kiana ult definitely a possibility. Equalizer was kind of Kiana ult was shit.
yeah.
Like
Kiara
Kiana ult
just
was
was.
nothing.
Yeah,
Wrong wall for one. But I
yeah,
guess she rushed to get it out before the Mordekaiser took her out of the fight.
yeah. And that's the problem
Uh,
here, right? Like the Mordekaiser, and this is why I think Mordekaiser is just so strong. You just pick whichever ult is impactful or whichever ult is not used yet. You just press R on them. You go, okay, you can try to 1v1 me. I don't die. I never die. And if I ever hit you with the E, you die.
He's like an AP Aatrox, and it's inherently problematic because they can both flourish in the side lane, but also like win a team fight by themselves.
Yep.
And it doesn't annoy me, but it does like put me in a weird position relative to other top laners. Like even Rumble, he can't 1v1 them. Yes, he can win a team fight by himself, but he can't 1v1 these champs. The trade-off is that they do have like suboptimal early games,
Yeah.
but I'd still say Mord is pretty safe at the end of the day.
I mean, punishing Mord is
Oh,
hard. Like,
sorry.
I haven't seen any teams really successfully punish a Mordekaiser yet. Not
This
from.
is the behind Rumble build. Just build flat pen so you can get as much damage from your ult as possible.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Like it's fine. He just means he skipped the hourglass or the Morello, depending on what he wanted else.
I think you'd probably take the hourglass here. Try and get into
Oh,
the fight.
that was nice.
Ooh, that was better.
Much better.
And still not enough. Oh, no, still not enough.
Ooh, Chocolat not clean, but okay, clean. All
Clean.
right, very clean.
Calculated.
In and
I
out.
think he has about 20 health, but calculated.
That's all you need. 20 is more than 0 after all.
That is true. It's 19 health more than he needed.
I guess we'll see a replay. I wonder what set off that engage because I saw the remote come out and I was like, don't know if that's too legit. But yeah, I'm curious as to how that actually got on the board because I was too busy looking at the Rumble.
See,
This happens to an actual cast, by the way, as well. I just look at the Rumble.
No, awful. No, I do that all the time. There's been many times at LEC that I've gone on to rants about Ezreal plays and a team fight happens and I'm like still talking about the Ezreal.
All right, TPs. No equalizer. Got the on the hunt. That's it. Got the
Yep.
mountain soul. Got the game.
Yeah.
Easy.
This should be pretty methodical from here on. Color's taking a lot of damage.
Not enough.
Yeah, not enough. Man, that is a fun champion.
Tongue lash him. Oh, damn, dude. Mystiques with the BM.
uh,
Flash hourglass.
just
right? In the
12
stopwatch.
to
I always
1.
call stopwatch hourglass, but it's fine. You get what
They
I
build
mean.
into it. We had 6 seasons of Hourglass.
Nobody builds into it anymore, though. It's
No.
always stone plate, stone
Stone
plate,
plate.
stone plate, all the way down.
The most gold efficient item for supports.
Even when you don't proc it, it's gold efficient.
Yep. The extra stats are just insane.
I think Zeke's is actually pretty gold efficient itself, by the way.
Yeah, Zeke's is also very gold
I
efficient.
think Aegis of the Legion is like the one of the most gold efficient non-fully completed items in the game. But to compensate for that, Locket is shit unless you use the active.
Yeah. Yeah. Locket is horridly gold inefficient unless you get that juicy
Which
shield.
you do, and I think that it will make a comeback, especially with how a lot of these compositions default to the monkey 5v5.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, we're seeing that game times are going up as well, which is kind of interesting because all the changes to Drakes were supposed to make the game faster, but
It just means that hey, you fight around like all these EU teams and Chinese teams. They do the big skirmish around the Rift Herald pit 8 minutes in. It's really cool to watch, but yeah, the games somehow still go on after that, and that upsets me. Ooh, like chocolate in the back. Oh, finally a good Kiana ult
that was
onto the
actually a
inhib.
really nice counter ult. It's not going to do anything because they're so far behind, but
Oh, will it?
Color died. They get the inhib. I think they just run. I don't know if they can get any more kills. Oh no.
No. Rip. Throw your E, Sejuani. Oh,
Why would I kill the Brom when I could just
Hmm.
not kill the Brom? Oh,
Oh.
goodbye. Oh, no, Chocolad. No. Report Chocolad for inting.
It's a clean game. Very, very clean.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zanzara, all but 1 kill participations.
Yeah. I mean, this
His
game
early
was...
pathing was suspect.
Yes. There was a lot to work on for Rogue in this game. I'm going to pause the VOD and we can have a little chat about what we just did, what we saw.
Cool.
There's a lot to improve for Rogue. I think that's the first thing to point out. The game was methodical, the game was very clean, but they have... I don't want to say they need to pull the trigger more because their final fights were good. It kind of felt like their early game was a bit tiptoey. They respected the early power of Kiana a lot. And I think that slowed the game down a little bit. But I also like their macro. Their macro is already pretty decent level. They took all the Drakes, they pushed Devils.One onto a timer. Their lane assignment was pretty good. I didn't see anything that was bad.
The Tom Kench got 1 good Devour off, but I think that the bot lane here was fairly like plug and play. Like I think you could slot in Zyra Khan. Any bot lane would have fit into that comp. That being said, there was like one not game changing, but team fight changing Devour. So hey, that was cool. And I guess the threat of a Devour did mean that there was a little bit more hesitation from the side of Devils.One to pull the trigger there. So fine, I guess. But I would like to see Mystiques on more playmakers rather than whatever this is. And my other question is, looking at draft A, whereas Lucian, and B, versus better teams, I think giving away both Kiana and Rumble, especially across 2 rotations, is a little bit too disrespectful.
Yeah. Which is interesting as well, because Color can play the Rumble.
I'm really not a huge fan on Rumble Top anymore. That being said, I do main it, but
yeah.
I
mean, so the reason, I guess let's give some context for why Rumble Mid propped up, right? Because maybe not everyone watches the LPL. And the reason that we talk about Rumble so much is 100% pick ban in the LPL in week 1.
I actually wrote about this earlier. The rise of Rumble Mid.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so essentially it has not the greatest amount of kill pressure, but it has some kill pressure in the 1v1 after level 3. it pretty much always gets priority, especially in those early levels, and can back up the jungler for early skirmishes. The extra Drakes and extra Herald really do help the objective focus, which is where the Rumble really shines, as well as the random 5v5 team fights that tend to like define the game. And I think a lot more of it about sending him mid is just how easily he roams to either sideline and can drop the equalizer from like 2 screens away. Like his push prio, skirmish like potential, and the fact that he can easily walk to either side lane. Like you only need to go 75% of the way through the river to drop your ult into a lane, and I think that really does put him on a different, kind of level compared to other mids, especially if you consider how high his base damages are. So he's less item dependent, so he can do effective roams theoretically earlier than others as well. So yeah, it really does all just come together to make him be super oppressive all at once. And I think the objective focus of the game really does push him into that borderline OP territory. Leandri's too.
Yeah, I mean, Leandri's is this item that we've seen skyrocket in
It's still
value.
Baron in Prime League earlier off of a Luden's Echo.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me show you. Someone linked it to me midway through our VOD review, and I wanted to watch it for so long. Here.
Okay.
It was versus Mouse.
Oh, Lord. Schalke vs. Mouse?
Certus,
Der
yeah.
Smite auf 4. 4 HP. Wo
Alright,
ist...
let me mute this.
Fuck, it went to 4 health and then got killed by the Leandris.
4 HP. Oh.
Damn,
That's brutal.
Play of the game right
Play of
there.
the game. Did Schalke end up winning? I haven't seen the results.
I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah. I also don't know. Yeah. How do you feel Rumble scales? Because that's something that I've been bugged with. Is I've seen Rumble sort of, and I have to admit, I've been playing on a lot of NA meta, so NA RAM is definitely a factor in how I perceive Rumble. But
I think NA RAM is where he shines relative to
Exactly.
actually just getting out like laned in the side lane. After 2 to 3 items, he really can't handle a lot of the meta tops. So yeah, it really does put a bit of a question mark over the champion. But if you can decide the game at the 20-minute mark, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's. I mean, again, 100% pick ban in LPL.
He basically holds the hand of the bot lane to getting to a like insane late game. Like he'll carry you through the early to mid if you carry him through the late. And like his team fighting is great. The thing is, yeah, he can't side lane, so it puts him in a really weird position. And his wave clear, while good, is very, very short ranged, so it's really easy to punish him.
Yeah.
And I think that come later on, it's a bit messy.
That's the interesting part as well. Is I guess in the LPL, that's why we're seeing him flourish. Is that the 1-3 1-for-1 style?
God, don't even talk to me about the LPL and 1-3-1 style. It really, really pisses me off to watch LPL and watch the top laners get left hanging out to dry. Rogue Warriors really upset me because they played like dog shit and lost while their top laner was split pushing. Holder was playing GP, playing split push as he should. And then they brought in Crazy, and then he just brainlessly grouped with the team game after game, like fight after fight after fight after fight. No one went bot lane between 15 and 35 minutes on the clock. Like, no one even went to clear the wave. It was just random 5 people mid constantly for a 20-minute span, and they won because of it, even though the top laner was like not playing side lane at all as Aatrox. And it was really, really, really frustrating.
This is we need a podcast of LPL rants. I think this would be fun.
I did an episode of one with Frosk actually, which could come out soon.
I was about to say, Frosk, hit us up. We will rant about LPL. This will be funny. We can go back to the good Australian garage band days. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Rumble's shining in China, because I think China at the moment, I mean, China has never been amazing at the 1-3-1 style. Very few teams really excelled in that. But with the prevalence of team fighting and skirmishing, and because Rumble is just so good in that scenario and so efficient, I think, at least that's my opinion, that's why Rumble is 100% Big Ben in China, but in Europe, NA, and the regional leagues, we're seeing this lower priority.
Yeah, 100%. It does, kind of promote. It has great skirmishing. It has great 5v5. It's just the side lanes that it really does fall off in.
Yeah. So when you see that Rumble, then I guess you're thinking like this is the conundrum, right? If you pick the Rumble early, like you take that Kiana Rumble rotation, if you're playing into a Kali Aatrox and then suddenly they late rotate something like a Nocturne jungle, how do you deal with that as Rumble? Because if the Aatrox and Nocturne get onto you, I don't see you surviving in a side lane.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think that you just have to force group then. I think that a lot of these top laners that can't, flourish in the 1v1 or even the 1v2, the Nocturne pick alone does kind of force you into just grouping all the time anyway. And I think that's fine as long as you are forcing objectives. And I think that the fact that Season 10 does have more objectives more frequently does actually not reward that playstyle, but mean that you're punished less for it because you can actively trade shit back while avoiding the side lanes as much as you can.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. It's a really cool balancing act now. Okay.
All right. I got a stream now, Sam. My viewers are harassing me because they've seen me online on Twitch talking to you.
I've got
I know.
I mean, I also have to go and have some fun NA Rams.
It's a hard life.
It is. Thank you for the podcasting. Thanks for the review.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully we
We'll
get
do
to
it
do
again
more of
sometime.
these. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, there's always LPL games. There's always LPL games. So
Indeed. Well,
okay.
not at the moment, but
No, not at the moment.
soon,
And,
hopefully.
yeah, soon, and safe wishes to all of the people in China and Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in.
All right. See you in a bit, man.
See ya.